Silence fell between them. Heavy, unrelenting. David's words hung in the air like a noose. I want you to choose me. And Jonathan didn't know whether to laugh or punch something. Because this wasn't how things were supposed to go. He wasn't supposed to end up in a criminal's mansion, staring into the eyes of a man who had built his life on fear and power, and feel something other than hatred. But he did. And that terrified him more than any gun ever had. This isn't a choice, Jonathan muttered finally, his voice rough. You pulled me out of a fight, brought me into your home, stood outside my door like a ghost. You've been circling me for weeks, David. He shook his head. You don't ask someone to choose you after all that. You don't give them the chance to breathe. David didn't react at first, just listened. Calm, patient. Then, quietly. I haven't touched you, Jonathan. Not once. Not unless you let me. Jonathan's lips parted, but no words came. Because it was true. David had invaded his life, yes, had played his mind like a violin. But physically, he'd always stopped at the edge. A hand on the wrist, a brush of fingers, a look, never a push, never a demand. And suddenly, Jonathan hated how much that mattered to him. You think that makes this noble? He asked bitterly. You think that makes you good? David didn't smile, didn't flinch. No, he said softly. It just means I'm trying. Jonathan stared at him. His chest felt tight, his thoughts louder than the world around him. Because David Taylor, the David Taylor, was standing in front of him, asking to be chosen, not commanding, not bribing, just asking. And somehow, that was more dangerous than anything else. I don't trust you, Jonathan said, barely above a whisper. David nodded. I wouldn't either. I still hate what you do. I don't blame you. And I don't know if I can forgive myself for standing here right now. David's eyes were steady. Then don't. Just stand here anyway. Jonathan looked away, jaw tight, his thoughts running in circles. And then, without planning it, without giving himself permission, he said quietly, I'm still only staying one night. David smiled, not smug, not victorious, just warm, like something had finally clicked into place. One night, then. But they both knew. It was already more than that. The hours passed slowly. Jonathan stayed. He told himself it was only for the night, just like he said. He wandered the house, avoiding David when he could, saying little when he couldn't. But the tension between them simmered just beneath the surface, coiled like a spring, waiting. And David didn't press. He gave Jonathan space. Like he knew the moment he pushed too hard, the former cop would vanish. But that didn't mean David wasn't watching. Always watching. That evening, Jonathan stood alone in the upstairs hallway, staring through the tall windows at the city lights in the distance. His thoughts were loud again, looping, relentless. He's a criminal. You're not one of them. You don't belong here. But why does it feel like... You do? Behind him, footsteps, software, familiar. David. Jonathan didn't turn. I thought we agreed. We didn't agree on anything, David said gently. You told me one night. I'm simply making sure I don't waste it. Jonathan exhaled slowly. You're exhausting. You're addicting, David countered without hesitation. That made Jonathan turn. You don't even know me. David stepped closer, calm, steady. I know enough. Do you? Jonathan's voice rose. You know I broke everything I believed in when I took that bribe. I lost my badge, my family, my goddamn life. And you, he pointed at him. You're everything I was supposed to fight against. David didn't blink. And yet, you're still here. Because I had nowhere else to go. You could have left this morning. Jonathan froze. He could have. He'd had every opportunity. No one had stopped him. No one would stop him, except himself. David took another step, closing the space between them. His voice was low now, not seductive, not manipulative, just honest. I didn't fall for you because you were perfect, Jonathan. I fell because you broke and still stood back up. Because even when you were surrounded by rot, you never stopped being you. Jonathan's chest ached. I'm not who I used to be. Good, David murmured. Because neither am I. And this time, when David reached for him, Jonathan didn't pull away. He let the touch happen, fingers grazing the side of his neck, resting against his jaw. He let the silence stretch between them, and when David leaned in, slow and careful, Jonathan didn't stop him. The kiss was quiet, not demanding, not claiming, just real. Jonathan's hand curled into David's shirt, not to pull him closer, not to push him away, just to hold on to something while everything inside him broke open. When they pulled apart, neither of them spoke. They didn't need to. Because in that moment, Jonathan knew the truth he'd been running from since the moment he first met David Taylor. He had already chosen. Jonathan lay awake that night, the sheets cool against his skin, the scent of unfamiliar cologne lingering faintly in the air. He could still feel David's kiss on his lips. It hadn't been possessive or slick with power like he'd expected. It had been gentle, honest. Like David had been waiting a very long time for it and didn't want to break the moment once he had it. That scared Jonathan more than anything, because it meant this wasn't just about lust or convenience. This wasn't survival. It was something real. And Jonathan had no idea what the hell to do with that. By morning, he was already dressed and downstairs before the sun had fully risen. He was trying to figure out if walking away still counted if he didn't slam the door behind him. He didn't expect to find David already in the kitchen, shirt sleeves rolled to the elbows, making espresso like this was the most normal thing in the world. Leaving early? David asked without looking up. Jonathan hesitated, then crossed his arms. You weren't supposed to be awake. You weren't supposed to stay, David replied smoothly. He poured a second cup without asking, slid it across the counter. Jonathan took it with a grunt. You always this smug in the morning? Only when the man I want kisses me back, David said, with the kind of calm confidence that made Jonathan want to throw the cup at him. Or kiss him again. Don't get ahead of yourself, Jonathan muttered, sipping. That doesn't mean I'm staying. I know. David leaned against the counter. But it means you're not running. Jonathan looked away. Don't be so sure. David was quiet for a moment, then softer. I'm not asking you to stay forever, Jonathan. I'm just asking you to stop running long enough to figure out what you actually want. Jonathan stared at him, his heart thudding in his chest. And if what I want isn't this? David gave a small nod. Then you walk out that door, and I'll let you. Jonathan searched his face, expecting to see a trap, some glimmer of manipulation. But all he saw was a man, tired maybe, but patient, offering something rare, something real. Jonathan set the cup down. And if I stay a little longer? David's voice barely wavered. Then I'll make you breakfast. Jonathan blinked. You cook? No, David said, already pulling out his phone. But I'm excellent at ordering room service. A small laugh escaped before Jonathan could stop it. And just like that, the air between them shifted. Lighter now. Easier. He still wasn't sure if he could trust this. Trust him.